webinar. I'm Janet Teeters, Director of Accreditation Services, and joining me today will also be Robert Montgomery from Liaison International. ASHP and Liaison International have joined forces to create PhORCAS, and that's the Pharmacy Online Residency Centralized Application Service. And that will go live for our applicants on October 1st of this year, and it will go live for all of our programs on November 1st of this year. Can I have the next slide? This slide is to show you that there's three major portals within the PhORCAS system. One is for our applicants, one is for you, the programs, called the selection portal, and then there's also a portal for our reference writers. The application portal is the one where all of the applicants will upload all of their data electronically so that it can cross over into your program portal. The program portal, you will be able to see all of the applicants and all of the materials as they come across to you. Now this is a little different than the ResiTrack model in that it will not send you messages every time something is delivered. Instead, you will have to go out to the portal to see the status of all the applicants that are out there. Also, unlike ResiTrack, there is no information that you need to preload into the system except for who do you want to have access to the PhORCAS portal. So basically, if you have any requirements for your special application needs, then you need to actually contact us here at ASHP, and you need to update your online residency directory with any of those special application needs. And we'll be going over what are the basic application materials that will come through PhORCAS. So you'll be deciding if you need something up and beyond those basic needs. As far as the reference writers, when the applicant decides who will be their reference writer, they'll have an email. It will go out to the reference writer, and we'll tell them they've been selected to write a reference for this person for this particular residency program that they're applying to. And the reference writer will actually have to sign into the PhORCAS system and then complete their reference that then will be forwarded over to you, and you'll be receiving it in your selection portal there as a program. Now notice we do have the National Matching Service on this slide. There is a relationship between the National Matching Service and PhORCAS in a couple of different areas. The first one is when the applicant actually goes into the application portal, the first thing it will do is will actually have them go over and register for the National Matching Service. So applicants now will actually come into PhORCAS in order to be able to actually register for the National Matching Service. And that's a little different than what we've had in the past in case applicants are asking you about how to register for the National Matching Service. It does mean that they cannot register until October 1, so all of our applicants will not be registering for the match until after October 1st. The other relationship with the National Matching Service is, I think many of you have already received your National Matching Service agreement for this next year, and on that agreement form there's a little box about we assume you'll be using PhORCAS unless you opt out, and if you opt out you have to select that box there, and then it asks for your deadline. Once you sign that agreement form, then that is the data. We're taking the deadline you gave on the National Matching Service form, and we're uploading that into PhORCAS. And as long as you didn't opt out, then you will be listed in PhORCAS. So the applicants will actually see your name listed as someone that's participating in PhORCAS at that time. Can we have the next slide? I want to review now what is the standard material that you will receive with PhORCAS. So any applicant who comes in, you're going to get basic demographic information. So you can imagine that's their name, their address, their phones, their emails. We have some additional information, for example, what college of pharmacy did they attend, and a place for them to put in their overall GPA, because that's one area that many of you are looking at. You will also receive a set of verified transcripts. So basically, the applicant will order the transcripts from their college. It will be sent to PhORCAS. PhORCAS will validate and verify those transcripts, and then they'll get posted and sent on into the PhORCAS system so that you'll see it there in your portal. There's also what we call a personal statement or a letter of intent, and this is intended for the applicant to say, why do I want to do a residency, and why do I specifically want to do your residency that I'm applying to? There could be other information if you have other requirements that you want them to answer, that they can place in that personal letter of intent. Then there's a curriculum vitae that will be uploaded and sent through PhORCAS. We're requiring 3 references, so the applicants must find 3 references. And so when they put in those references, again, that email will go over to those people that they'll have to enter into PhORCAS to submit their reference. We wanted to make it very clear that although the email goes over to the letter writer, and then once the letter writer does their reference, it gets sent to you in the selection portal, the original applicant never sees that reference material. They do not have access to what the reference writer wrote in that reference. The other thing we did was we actually pulled out the extracurricular and professional activities. And the reason we did this is that what we're finding is many of you are doing some kind of evaluation form, if it will, as far as you're deciding whether people are even going to come in and do an interview with you. And we found that you were looking at GPAs and a lot of extracurricular activities. So we have actually asked the resident to pull these out and answer them each individually in PhORCAS, even though it might already be on their CV. Because whenever you see something individually filled out in PhORCAS, that means you as a program in the selection portal, you can select that area and you can search for people in that area. So we have extracurricular activities. We have special awards they might have received. If they had any special leadership potential or program, like say they were the president of a pharmacy society or even like the American Cancer Society or something. Any presentations that they've done up and beyond what they've done in school. Any publications that they've done, again, up and beyond what they normally would do for school. If they've worked anywhere, and if they've done any volunteer community service. Additionally, you're going to have access to their National Matching Service Code because they can't apply to you until they get a National Matching Service Code. And then there's a section called Supplemental Information. And this is if you want anything extra besides all of these other standardized areas that we're showing on this slide, then this is where they would upload that. And they can upload that into that area and it will come across to you. So some people are asking for a photo of the person. Others might want an example of their writing style or a presentation that they've done. Just look and see what kind of things you've been asking for. And if it's not part of that original stuff, then that would go into the supplemental data area. Can I have the next slide? The other standardized piece that we have is the reference form. Now, for those of you who may be familiar with the old ASHP reference form, this is not the same thing. The advisory group actually blew up that one and created a totally new form that they thought would be more appropriate for the type of information that all of you are looking for. So you'll notice on this form there's a couple of things. How long have you known the individual? What is your relationship? Are you a faculty or are you their employee? Then you'll also see that we have not percentage categories, but do they exceed, are they appropriate, or do they fail to meet, or you can't evaluate it. And basically we have 12 characteristics there that we're asking the reference writer to review. And you'll see on the right that we are saying that they should at least comment on at least 3 of these fields. So there's 12 characteristics altogether. If you want to see the actual form, it is on our website under the PhORCAS section, so you can actually see what exactly is on the standardized reference form. There's 2 parts. There's this first part, which is these 12 characteristics. And if I can have the next slide, the second part really is more of a free form area where they can write anything that they want about the candidate. So this is almost the type of information you would get in a regular reference letter that's here. And then finally at the end, there would be the recommendation that this person would have. So the reference writers must complete this one reference form for all their applicants, and they have the option, if they also want to put in a regular letter, they can do a regular letter and upload that into the system as well. But we are requiring the standardized reference form. The other thing to keep in mind is many people are asking us, well, I want a regular letter uploaded because it's on letterhead, I see their signature, I know it's them. In the PhORCAS system, any of these reference writers have to have their own code to sign into the portal. So we're pretty sure that it really is them coming in through here, and this is like an electronic signature when they're coming through with this. So I wouldn't worry as much about making sure it's on the letterhead paper and making sure that you can see an actual signature. You might have to start thinking a little more electronically when you look at PhORCAS compared to maybe what you're used to in your older system that's there. Can I have the next slide? Now I want to review what's flexible. We've just gone over what's the standardized part, but what's the flexible part for all of you? The first thing is the deadline. We decided not to do a centralized deadline, so all of you have your own deadline, whatever it is. And whatever you enter on that National Matching Service Agreement form is what we are uploading into PhORCAS. We then will try to upload that also into our online residency directory so that they're all in sync. And that's going to be the hard deadline that PhORCAS will close on that deadline that you've given us at 11:59 Eastern Time that day. It will close, which means no new applications can come across in PhORCAS after that time. And you will still be receiving materials from your candidates that are already in there, but if anybody has not applied to you yet, they cannot if you've closed that deadline, and that's the hard deadline. You can, however, decide if, say, you're in rural America and you hardly got any applications, you can open that deadline. So as a residency program director, you can go out there and actually open your deadline and extend it. So say it was originally January 15th and it closed, the window closed, you didn't have many applicants, you can go in there and open it to, say, February 1st, or a different deadline if you want. The other thing that's unique, if there's something special that you want in that personal statement, or what we're calling the letter of intent, please put that in your area on the online residency directory of what it is that you want in those letters. If there's any supplemental information, again, if many of you are asking for examples of their writing style or presentation or a photo, any of that, make sure that you list that as supplemental information. You can see here there's various formats that it can be in. It can be in a PDF, a doc, or these other formats. There is a limit of 5 megabytes per upload. I believe you can have up to 10 uploads, but we're really requesting of the applicants that they put all of them together, scan them, put it in a PDF, and send it in the supplemental data, because that makes it the easiest for you to view all of that information when it ties together with that applicant's materials in PhORCAS. You can ask if you want something special of your reference writers beyond that standard reference form. So if you have a special question you want to ask or something that's unique, you can still do that. We're not changing how you do your review of candidates. Basically, we know many of you have either an assessment form or some kind of rubric that you're doing to figure out if they get a certain score, then we're going to bring them in for an interview. You'll still continue with that, and that will still be your own system that you do. This is just helping to make everything electronic, all in one place, and to make it easier for you. So we're not changing how you review things. However, we're going to give you more options for how you maybe can sort on some of the data that you'll see when Robert gets to show you the actual demo of the product. The other thing, for those of us who maybe aren't so used to the electronic way, you can still go out there and just print paper if you want, so you can have all of your application material all together on paper, or you can still look at it electronically. So you still have choices for which way you want to do that. Can I have the next slide? So just to review, who is eligible to use PhORCAS? Basically, any program that's applied for accreditation with ASHP. So you can be a pre-candidate or an accredited program, and you're going to participate in the match this year. So that means I actually have a program and I'm going to be recruiting for it. If you have a unique National Matching Service code, then programs can apply to your particular program at that unique NMS code level. So how do you go about applying? Basically, we are assuming unless you opt out that you'll be in. And what we're looking for is that you complete that National Matching Service Resident Matching Program Agreement form. So when that agreement form goes into NMS, and we see in that box that you have a deadline, that deadline will get uploaded into PhORCAS, and you'll be listed in PhORCAS. And only those people who opt out then will not be loaded into PhORCAS. Just to tell you, there are no fees for the programs that are participating. And basically we're doing this because for this program to be successful, we really want all the programs to be in. So if I'm an applicant, regardless of where I'm looking across the United States, if all the programs are in PhORCAS, then I can go to this one place, put it in, and apply to any of my programs. So we really want all of the programs to be participating in the system. The one thing I did fail to mention is if by any chance any of you happen to be one of the residency programs that's not in the match, and that's if you have commissioned officers, basically if you're interested in being in PhORCAS, I recommend that you just contact us in the ASHP that we can facilitate that for you so that you can get into PhORCAS as well. The fees do, however, as many of you know, rest with the applicants in this program. So basically for the applicants, we've created a structure of they buy a package deal in the beginning. They buy 4 applications for $75. If they apply to more than 4, then every program thereafter is $25. And that's what's paying to run the PhORCAS system for us. We also hope, many people are afraid that some of the applicants will apply to too many places. So by having this fee structure, we hope that that will control them so they don't just blanket applying to everyone, that they're seriously consider before they start paying for each application that they do. And on the next slide, just timelines so that people know. October 1st is our real go live for all of the applicants. That means they can actually go out into PhORCAS, they can go register for the National Matching Service, and they can begin uploading their data into PhORCAS. The other thing is we really need you guys to complete your agreement forms so that we know who's in PhORCAS, so that on October 1, the listing will be complete there. However, if we do get new programs that apply for either pre-candidate or candidate status with ASHP, when they apply and we activate the NMS form, when you complete that form is when you would be active in PhORCAS. Now for you in the programs, the go live is just a little bit later, and yours is on November 1st. So basically those applicants can put data in, but they can't apply to any of your programs until after November 1st. So on November 1st, the applicants can actually start submitting all of that data that they have in there over to your site. However, we still anticipate many of these applicants are going to go to the mid-year clinical meeting. They're going to look at you there. They're going to do PPF. And probably the bulk of the applications are going to come usual time, which is going to be after the mid-year meeting. But you may see activity beginning November 1st, so we just wanted you to be aware of that. The deadline will close for your program on the deadline that you set. However, if you don't give us a deadline and you're in the system, we're going to default you to March 7th, so we strongly encourage you to put your deadline on the National Matching Service form. And then on March 8th is when all the rank order lists are due to the National Matching Service. So remember, the Matching Service really doesn't change anything they do. You still will be sending your rank order list to the Matching Service. They'll still be the ones that will be telling you about the Matching Service results to both the applicants and the programs. Can I have the next slide? The next set of timelines is PhORCAS will be involved in the post-match process as well. So something a little bit different this year is all of the programs and applicants will actually receive the information on a Friday, so that March 22nd is actually a Friday. Everybody will get their match results from the National Matching Service. Any of the programs that participated in PhORCAS prior to the match, if they have a position in the post-match process, they will be loaded again into PhORCAS, and the new list will be the shorter list of those programs that have available positions. On that same day, applicants can begin updating their materials. They'll know which programs are available. NMS will still maintain that dynamic list as we did last year. And the one thing is, you as a program, if you're in the post-match process and you're in PhORCAS, you can control your deadline. So you can go out there and put your new deadline. So if all of a sudden on March 25th, which is a Monday, that's when the portal actually opens, that the applicants can push a button and start applying to all of your programs. If you decide by Wednesday you have way too many applicants, you can go out there and put your close date of that date so that they'll stop coming in. We are asking, really, the Commission on Credentialing has been looking at this for a while, is that the post-match process is getting very busy, very hectic, and a little bit crazy. Many of you may have seen an article on AJHP where people really asked the Commission to address this a little bit because they thought that people were just immediately trying to place with the place because everybody was so desperate on match day if they hadn't matched. Really recommending that people take 1 week to really look at the candidates that are out there to make an informed decision. The whole reason we went to a match was that you would have an informed decision. Basically, as a program, you guys are in the driver's seat. You have over 1,000 candidates now in the post-match process, and so you need to make sure that you're matching with the person that's appropriate for you instead of just taking the first one that maybe contacts you. So we're really recommending a 1 week moratorium before offers are made so everybody can maybe not thoroughly evaluate, but spend more time than 1 hour making a decision on whether they're going to go to a place that they never considered before match day. Finally, on May 31st, PhORCAS will close for the season, and then we'll actually be looking at upgrades for the next season and getting it ready for the next season. And can I have the next slide? So with that, we just hope that the new process will really reduce the amount of paperwork and shuffling and amount of phone calls and emails that you're getting from all these applicants to see if their paperwork's in, and streamline the process and make it all electronic. Did want you to note the website that's on this web page. On our ASHP website, under ashp.org/PhORCAS, there is information from these presentations we've been doing. There's frequently asked questions out there, copies of the forms so you can see what the standardized reference forms are out there as well. And the actual link that will go to PhORCAS also will be housed on that once it goes live. And with that, I'm going to actually turn this over to Robert Montgomery, and he's actually going to show you the product a little bit from the applicants portal so you can see, and then the second part will be the selection portal, which you as a program director will be able to see. And the program director will always be the main contact, but then the program director can decide who within their organization can have access to see any of the information that's coming through with the applicants. And with that, Robert, I'll let you take it.
Great. Thank you very much, Janet. As she said, a lot of the features that Janet has just gone over, I will be outlining in the actual PhORCAS application. A brief overview of exactly what the applicants will be filling out, and also what you'll be seeing once this information is collected. On my screen now is the actual application that the applicants will be logging into and filling out. As a point of orientation, on the left-hand side, you see the tools. The applicants will be able to go in and change their account information, their password, any security question information that they may want to change, their PGY information, and their license, change their license information if they need to. Maybe they entered it in wrong, missed a number or something like that. Any correspondence that is done from the PhORCAS staff regarding applications submitted, account creation, any of the other correspondence through the PhORCAS staff will be done through here. Frequently asked questions, contact information, the instructions for the applicants, and then the link to the ASHP directory will be found here. By clicking this link up here, the PhORCAS Application Checklist, the applicants will always be able to navigate back to this screen, the Applicant Checklist. Clicking here will bring them to the match registration, where they'll be able to match, change any registration information, and then their status section here, where they can keep updates on the information received and information that is still incomplete, transcripts, references, any of the information like that that is still pending. It gives them a quick look into the status of their application. As the applicants go through each section, they will fill out the necessary information or the required information on each section. The contact information has basic contact information where the applicants will go in, enter all the required information, then save it, and then go back, navigate back to the applicant checklist. As the applicants go through, they will enter in non-pharmacy colleges attended by clicking here, and then adding a new college, and then selecting that college from a list. They will also be able to do that for their pharmacy colleges that they have attended. The applicants will enter in their GPA at these institutions, non-pharmacy colleges attended, and pharmacy colleges attended. Here is where the applicants will list any of their extracurricular activity. With the categories that Janet outlined previously, they will select, add a new entry, and then enter the appropriate information. Applicants will be able to customize letters, customize their CVs, customize their references. They will do this by appropriately labeling their cover letters, clicking here, and then appropriately labeling it, making sure that it's a label that they know what it means. Later in the application, when the applicants go to the residency program designations, they will be selecting from a drop-down of cover letters to assign to that specific residency. If they are attempting to apply to Boston VA residency, they'll want to make sure that their cover letter, their CV, and any reference requests that are customized, they will want to make sure that are specific to that residency. If you could picture it like a shopping basket, and they're putting all of their cover letters and all of their CVs and all their references into one basket. And when they go to check out, they want to make sure that the appropriate product or the appropriate document goes to the appropriate residency, and then it's uploaded. And only that residency will be able to see that information. If the applicant has applied to 15 residencies, only that one Boston VA residency will be able to see that information. References can be customized the same way. If you have, if the applicants were applying to 10 different residencies, the applicants would be able to request 10 different letters of reference from the 3 individuals, if they so choose. Application certification is the legally binding document that every applicant will have to agree to by checking here and then entering in here their signature. This is a legally binding signature, just as if they were to enter it into the paper application that was previously used. This application with their signature here and their date here will act as a legally binding document, and the applicant will expressly agree to comply with all the PhORCAS policies, NMS policies, and ASHP policies. Supplemental questions. This is where the applicant will find the ability to upload supplemental documentation. The applicants, before they submit to any program, will be able to go to through the ASHP directory and find the programs that they wish to select as their application designation. On that, you will have your specific requirement or supplemental requirements if you so choose. You'll have to list it on your specific residency site and not actually in the PhORCAS portal. The applicants, once they find that information, will provide any requested documentation here. So if you had a supplemental application, such as the VA application, the applicants would fill it out, upload it here, and when they go to select their designations, they will simply, from the drop-down menu that they have created a list of all their different supplemental information, will select the appropriate one for the appropriate residency. Once all this great information is collected and the applicants have selected all the appropriate documents and assigned them to the appropriate residencies, how is it that that information is viewed? This is the end user, the residency's view. This is their portal. When you first log in, this is the screen that you will see. This will be your dashboard. As a point of orientation, on the left-hand side are all the applicant, the tools for the reviewers. All these different tools will be static with the exception of the RPD tools. The RPD tools found here will only appear in the RPD account. These tools are powerful tools and can control the application. Acceptance, they can define reviewers, they can do downloads of the entire application. It's a powerful set of tools. To open and close your application, you click here. This site is currently closed, as indicated here. If we wanted to open the site, we'd click here and then enter in the deadline date. So if your deadline had come and passed and your site was closed, and you realized that there was a very strong potential candidate that for extenuating circumstances was not able to apply to your site, and you wanted to open that site for that applicant, you would simply click Open Site, enter in a predetermined date. Maybe you were allowing the applicant to have 24 hours to apply to your site, and you would set this for August 31st. And then click Save. That date will then populate in the applicant's designations, all of the applicant's designations, and your site will be open to all applicants. It will close within 24 hours or midnight on the designated day. Add reviewers and list reviewers. This is where the RPD will manage the reviewer pool. If the RPD wished to add reviewers, they would click here. Enter in their first, last name, the email address of the reviewer. The phone number is optional. The reviewer will create a username, and then the RPD will create the username for the reviewer, and the RPD will create the email, the password, and confirm the password for the reviewer. Then click Submit, and that account will have been created. You'll be able to list your reviewers here. By clicking this, you'll be able to see the different reviewers that you have created. The data dictionary and the applicant data download are two different functions for the sites that wish to import the information into a system that they currently are maintaining. If that system can accept imports in an Excel format, you can map the information to that database and provide those fields to that database through these two downloads. The data dictionary is just that. It's a dictionary of all the different data fields in the PhORCAS system. Each individual field has a particular label, and this tells the incoming system, or the one that's receiving the export, where that information is located. The more tech-savvy sites that are able to have these imports created can customize those exports and imports by designating the appropriate cells. With the applicant data download, you have every field populated by every applicant in your system that has applied to your residency. This is a very large spreadsheet that has a lot of information on it, as you can imagine. Please understand that this tool will not be used by everybody, and if you do not think that this tool will be useful for you, then you do not have to use this tool. As many tools as you'll see, there are a lot of tools that you may find application for. There are some tools that you might use, you might not use, until you actually experience it and see how it will work for you. You're not sure. There will be some tools that you will find very powerful and very useful to your current process. We are not here to change your process. We are here to simply streamline your process. This is an automation tool that will greatly reduce your administrative burden. It will provide the ability for your reviewing team to, instead of spend time organizing packets, opening email, opening physical mail, and getting packets together and going through checklists, this will allow your reviewing team to really drill down to what's important reviewing the applications. We give you tools in this search function here to be able to go through and really drill down to what applications you want to consider. As Janet spoke earlier, you can drill down to who has created information in these fields. You can go and look on selection decisions. You can even look at specific recommendations that the applicant has received. Selection decisions and tags are items that I'll get into momentarily. But all these other informations are searchable and will render any applicant that fits that criteria. The applicant pool status. These three different statuses are the three options that your applicants will fall into. They will either fall into the in progress, the completed, and if it's after match, they'll fall into the post-match completed section. The in progress applicants are applicants that are missing either transcripts or references. Applicants can submit their application once they've completed all required fields within the application. If an applicant has designated a reference and that reference has not completed that reference, the applicant will still be able to submit their application. The applications will not be held up for references that have not submitted. We did this specifically because we did not want to put an applicant at a disadvantage because of a reference or a delayed transcript. It will be up to the individual residencies whether or not they would like to consider these specific applicants. All the applicants in the completed section are in fact that. They are completed. They have completed all the required fields, all their references have been uploaded, and all their transcripts have been verified and processed. We're now going to look at the in progress section. These applicants are all in progress. They are either missing transcripts or references. You can determine what exactly they're missing by clicking these sections here, and it will be indicated what transcripts are expected to be received and what transcripts are actually received in the system. As a point of orientation through the summary page of all your applications, here you'll find the test applicants. The application status is a clickable link that will give you a window into the actual application status. You'll be able to determine the match code, the date that they e-submitted, any tags that you have associated with that applicant, and again, I will go into what tags are in a moment, and any PhORCAS comments. This section here are PhORCAS comments from the PhORCAS staff, the customer service department when you call PhORCAS support. These comments will be relative to reviewing process only. These comments will not say applicant called in for password reset, applicant called in to find out deadline. These will only be reviewer relevant comments. Program tags. Tags are, if you could imagine, labels. They're designed to help aid mirror your current process. If you want to assign a reviewer to a subset of applicants, you would be able to do it using this feature. If you had a current rubric or evaluation process and the end result you wish to assign to an applicant, you would be able to do that using this process. It is a very, very flexible tool that you can use in many different ways. But it's like a label. When I was in admissions, I had to go through each packet and we had 14 different labels and each one meant something different. And we would assign that label, we would write on it on the manila envelope that label. And that's essentially what you're doing here. You're assigning a label to that applicant, a label that you then can search on. You can assign as many labels or tags to this applicant, the individual applicant, that you wish. You can search on 3 different tags at a time. To give you an idea, each one of these applicants have a tag associated with them. You can tell that by the yellow tag. Clicking here will let you know what tags have been assigned to them. My RPD has gone in and assigned me to this applicant. They would like Robert Montgomery to review these applicants. So as a reviewer, I go in, I click on the search function, I scroll down to the tag. I want to know what tags or what applicants I'm associated with. Here I can see that I'm associated with all these applicants. I'm associated with this applicant, and I have reviewed this applicant, and now our rubric, we have it, it's a scale on 1 to 100. We only consider any applicant that is above a 90, for example. So I can go in and I have a tag that was already predetermined by my RPD using this tool to define the tag. RPDs can create new tags They can manage their tags by deleting tags if they are no longer relevant. My RPD went in and created the 90 to 100 tag. So this is the top percentile of 0 to 100. Knowing that, I go in here and I review this applicant, and I'm going to associate the tag with this applicant of 90 to 100. And then I add this tag. I can also manage the tags by using or deleting them here. Another reviewer is also assigned to this tag. What some residencies may use as an additional process internally, anytime you associate a tag to an applicant, you have to go in and comment on that applicant. So using this, I click on this field and I say, this applicant is one of the best applicants. Strong GPA. And I save that. So any reviewer that comes in here can see that when I rank them as 90 to 100 using my rubric, I also said that this applicant is among the best and has a strong GPA. And maybe that's an internal process that you use. This also might be an internal process where you don't use comments. It's very much like a salad bar. Some of these tools you will use, some of these items you'll pick up, some of them you'll pass on and maybe not use them at all. You can use some of them in conjunction with each other or independently. Again, we are trying to streamline your selection process, not change it. At the end, after I've reviewed and assigned the appropriate rubric that my specific site is using, I can then go in, search all the applicants that I had to review, and which one I associated in the 90 to 100, and submit. And I can see that these two applicants I associated the 90 to 100, and now I'd like to change their selection decision, which is another tool that you can use, again, in conjunction with program tags. You can use independently. The selection decision is a predetermined list of statuses. These may be relevant to your review process. These are static. These cannot be customized or changed. It's just another tool that we're allowing to, again, try to give you any tool to help mirror your current process. So these two applicants, I want to group update by tag, and they were in the 90 to 100 range, and I want to say that these applicants are going to be invited to interview. I'll click Next. I'll understand which applicant is being affected, the current selection decision, and then the change to a selection decision. Clicking Save, and then I can see that these two applicants have been invited to interview. Again, understand that this selection decision is only an internal process. No communication will be done outside of the portal. So if you select it invited to interview, that only means something to you internally. The applicant does not see this in any way. Same as if you were to say removed from consideration. The applicant would not see this, and you would have to communicate to them outside of the PhORCAS portal. The PhORCAS portal will let you download an Excel file of all their contact information over here, where you will be able to download their contact information, their name, their phone numbers, their email addresses, and any selection decision that is associated with that applicant. So if you wanted to email all the removed from considerations, you would click this download, and you would be provided a list of applicants, all your applicants, and the selection decision that they correspond with. A simple filter by selection decision will render only those applicants, and then you can simply take those email addresses and send those emails out. In the View Application button on the far right, you're able to see the actual application. This will be used in a variety of ways. Since this is a web-based application, you can log into this from any computer, download this from anywhere that has an internet connection, and start reviewing your applications and managing your pool. Some Residencies may choose to download individual applications onto a thumb drive and assign those thumb drives into individual reviewers and have the reviewing process still done outside of the application. Some reviewers may assign specific reviewers through tags and have them do it completely within the application. It's a very flexible reviewing system. When clicking on the View application, you'll be presented with almost like a menu where you'll be able to click the appropriate sections of the application that you wish to download. If you wish to only see the body of the application, you could click that. If you wish to see the body of the application with the transcripts, you can click that. Or if you just wanted to see their supplemental information, you can click just that button. Clicking the appropriate section and then the download button will provide you with a PDF that is bookmarked, elegantly formatted, and with all the information that the applicant has entered into a readable, organized format for all your reviewing needs. This is a very broad overview of the functionality of the program's portal. A cursory understanding was the objective with this webinar. You will be able to really understand and be able to manipulate your applications once you really get into using it, and after November 1st when you have access to it. The information provided in this webinar is merely as a tool and a guide. If you do have additional questions, you'll be more than able to contact us using the link down here, and there are instructions located here if you do have additional questions. With that, I'd like to turn it back over to Janet Teeters and address any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Robert. We have a couple of questions here that are related to if you're the program director and the reviewers. And one question is, many of our programs are very large sites and they have many applications, so they may assign 15 different reviewers. So the question is, we're all last-minute people. If we all go out there and review last minute, can the system handle that we have multiple people accessing our application portal here at one time?
Absolutely.
Is there a cap on the number?
That is a great question, and definitely a relevant question as you want to get the reviewers in there and everything reviewed. The system will have the capacity to handle as many reviewers that you have assigned. There is no limitation on login and how many people can access that specific account at an individual time.
A related question is, what if can two people access one applicant's information at the same time?
Yes, they can. They'll be able to click on the application and even manipulate that application. The last person, so if two people were to assign a selection decision, the last person that has updated that file will prevail.
The next question has to do with if some of the reviewers are putting in comments or if you have tags, is there any way to print that information off as part of the application package?
If they'd like to print off the specific tags, is that the question?
Yes. Well, that's one part, yes.
Okay. In the download, the applicant data download, they would be able to click on that. Tags and selection decisions would be provided there if they could organize it through that.
But it's not like if you go out and you select the application and it says, you know, print off the CV and the transcripts and the reference, it's not an option to put the comments in there?
Correct, it is not.
Okay, thank you. I think some people are asking about the confidential nature of the data that's in here. And one recommendation was if you wanted to download some of the data to a thumb drive, you could. In this data, just so that everyone knows, we are not asking for Social Security numbers. We do ask for the last 4 digits, and that's to validate with the matching service. But there nowhere in here should be a Social Security number unless you have something in your own application that you upload as a supplemental data. But I think everybody just needs to be aware of once you move out of the system, you do lose some security. So that's for the individual system to determine, I think, that particular question. A clarification on the supplemental data that's required. you don't put what your requirements are in PhORCAS. Okay, so the only thing that the applicant sees is that you are a program that's available in PhORCAS. It will, however, link out to your ASHP Online Residency Directory page. So make sure your ASHP Online Residency Directory page, where it has that special requirements for application, if you require a photo or if you require a copy of the written materials in your supplemental, make sure that's where it's recorded, or in any of your application materials. So I just wanted to make sure people were clear with that. The next question has to do with, okay, so our applicants upload all of their data, your deadline is met, and they forgot to send you some of their supplemental data. Will that still come through after the deadline, if they submit that after the deadline is passed? Robert, are you there?
I am.
Do you understand that question?
Um,
So the question was, the applicant has sent all their materials in, the deadline has met, or you mean the deadline has hit for application material to come in, and they forgot to do one of the supplemental pieces, so they're going to go back and try to upload that supplemental piece. Will that go through?
That will not. Once an applicant has submitted an application, it is locked for integrity purposes and to comply with several different laws. The applicant will not be able to modify any application that has been submitted.
So in other words, their first supplemental data that went through is the only data that will go through?
That is correct.
Okay, that's a good one to know. A question more for when can you update your online directory anytime, please send it in to us here at ASHP. We have asd@ashp.org as our ASHP mailbox for accreditation services. You can send your recommendations to us. We're aware on staff that we're trying to get everything uploaded in time for the October 1st deadline. There's a question we often get about if we have a HR application form with their institution, is there a way that they can get that into the PhORCAS system, either through that supplemental data information? Maybe you would want to address that one, Robert.
Absolutely. So that HR application will be housed on your website for the applicant to download on your specific residency's website. Once the applicant has downloaded that and filled out the appropriate information on that application, they will then upload that into the PhORCAS system and assign it to your specific residency where only you will be able to view that. The applicant will be responsible for obtaining that information and then uploading it into the PhORCAS system.
There's a question about sign-ons. So when the residency program director assigns reviewers to be a reviewer, we have many of our programs that have multiple residency programs. So one particular person might have to review a PGY1 and several PGY2 programs. And the question is, do they have to have separate passwords for each one or a single password?
So the separate passwords for each system?
Yes. I think that's what the answer is. So if I have a PGY1 program at my site, I have a PGY2 oncology, PGY2 cardiology. I happen to be a reviewer for those PGY1 programs and for those other two PGY2 programs. So I have 3 separate programs.
Correct.
Wouldn't I have a separate password to get into each set data?
Your password could be the same, but you will have to have a separate login. And I would suggest that login be appropriate to the PGY2 ambulatory, PGY2 critical care, so that you know which one you're logging into. You could just do it I would do it R Montgomery 1, R Montgomery 2, R Montgomery 3, and I would know which one would be appropriate. Your password can be the same for each of those.
Do you want to maybe explain related to that about what they can change and what they can't change when they're assigned as a reviewer on passwords and logins?
A reviewer can go in and manage under the On the screen here, you can see change password and account information. A reviewer would be able to change their username if they didn't like the one that was given to them, and a reviewer would also be able to change their password by entering in the old password and then creating the new one here and then clicking save.
Just to clarify for people, some people are concerned that there is a Social Security number usually associated with transcripts. Just so you know, part of the verification process at PhORCAS is to remove that so that that doesn't go out, just for everyone's information. There's a question about, can you download some of this data into a database? And I believe the answer is yes. Is that right, Robert?
You can, if that database you're looking to download can receive an Excel file. So we provide you with an applicant data download that has every file, every field the applicant has filled out in an Excel spreadsheet. We also provide you with a data dictionary as the map to those fields. So if you have the ability to do that, then you can do that.
We do have a question about, we ask applicants to provide interview date availability as part of the application process. Where would that be located? I think I would recommend that goes into the letter of intent to tell you, which weeks or months or days that they're available for interviews. There's a question on the reference writer. If they customize a traditional letter, is there a size limit? And there is, and I can't remember exactly what it is. Do you remember, Robert?
There is a, I believe the letter, I believe it's half a meg.
Yeah, it's pretty big. And then the number of letters per site, we capped it off at 4 here. So we're requiring everybody to have at least 3 references, but you can't have more than 4 because we didn't want to fill the system up. And then another clarification point for everyone is, sorry, we do operate on East Coast time out here. So all of the closing times, whether it be the match or PhORCAS, at 11:59 p.m. is Eastern time. So if you have applicants or your people out on the California side on Pacific time, I'm sorry, that is 9 p.m. your time, but that's the standard time that's used for all the closing points. The other question that was out there is, if your RPD assigns you as a reviewer, then you get an email from PhORCAS, or how are you notified that you're a reviewer in PhORCAS?
How do you know you're a reviewer in PhORCAS?
Right. How do you get that password, and how do you know that you need to go out there?
You will be your RPD will indicate to you that information.
Outside of PhORCAS, though.
Correct.
Can we, maybe this is a discussion for what PhORCAS does when they validate the transcript. Can you talk specifically about what you are looking for on that? They want to know if you're validating the GPA. We are not confirming that what the GPA is that the person wrote in, the same as what's in the transcript. We are sending the transcript to you so that you can see that. And maybe you can just answer that. And then the second part of that question will be, many of these people might be getting the transcripts in the fall, and they might have one more program that's being completed that doesn't happen until they get it till January. Can you get another portion of the transcript coming through on the application?
You can, absolutely. As the applicants send in the transcripts, we will upload them to the portal, and that will reflect in the RPD portal, the program portal. We do verify the integrity of the transcript. We verify that it did come directly from the registrar. We verify that it is an authentic transcript. And there are several different checks that we go through in that process, and that is the verification process that we do. Having said that, we are going to get kicked off in very momentarily. There is somebody that has the webinar after us, and
I guess one last quick question. Can we communicate with the applicants through PhORCAS?
There is no direct messaging system in the PhORCAS application. Direct communication from the residency will be done outside of the PhORCAS system. You can obtain their email through the PhORCAS system and make a comment of that if a correspondence was sent into the comment section, but the actual correspondence will have to be done outside of the system.
Okay, and then I think we're going to get kicked off.
We're going to get...
So thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will be completing the questions that were asked.